Hello, hello. Happy Tuesday, January 6th, 2026. How was everybody? It looks like everybody on YouTube started a long time ago. There's a ton of action going on in the chat over in holy, I can't even read all this. Juicy, Russell, Gary. Hello, good morning. Good afternoon, good evening. Who else we got? I see a couple of Gabriel. They're over there. DRZ. Hello, Hans, Jason, Vlad. Welcome. Happy New Year to everybody. I hope everybody had a nice, safe, plentiful New Year's Eve and New Year's celebration. Good day. Hans, you got home, I suspect. Must be nice to be home after a while. Car update. Yeah, well, I still don't have my car. I'm getting hit for $44 a day on my rental. They think they're going to be glad to give the car back to me because it's like we're calling every day. It was going in for paint today. I should have just taken the $1,000 and said, yeah, don't worry about that. But it'll be done right. And they said it should be done. I should be able to pick it up tomorrow. So fingers crossed. They had the alignment yesterday. And then we called today. They should be paying. And what irritates me is I am certain, either that or I'm delirious, that I have been offered loaner vehicles when my car was in the shop before. Will they have the paint cured by then? Well, what they're painting is like the rockers, so it's not. Tell them to give me a can of paint and I'll do it. Yeah. What's tomorrow? Well, it's like yeah, it's not a big deal. It's really not a big deal. In fact, I just wanted them to replace the cracked plastic whatever piece was on the bottom. Our good friend George Kartsotis used to own Retro 51. Used to say, his famous quote was as well, whenever something was going to be done, when is it going to be done? It's going to be done on Tuesday. He wouldn't tell you what Tuesday, but that's how this pen came to be. This is the Tuesday. That, and I think his poppers launched on Tuesdays eventually. But yeah, he used to say, yeah, well, it'll get done by Tuesday. So we called him today and we asked and said, well, it wasn't really clear. Somewhere along the line, we saw a list of all the parts and everything, and then I could never find it again. Because my VW dealer has this cool portal where you can go on and you can, I'm sure other car dealers are this way now. You can go on, you can see what's, what needs to be done and what parts are going to be ordered and everything. And they didn't have listed down the front right tire, which was a disaster after hitting the curb. It was not safe at all. And we had just been in the shop 6 weeks prior. And so there was no mention. We get pretty much everything done except for like the few things that I'm going to do. I'm not going to pay them $75 to replace a cabin air filter. I'll just do it. Even the what is it? The fuel filter was super easy, But there was no mention about tires. So we called and asked, oh yeah, well they're replacing the front right wheel. I said, yeah, but what about the tire? Well, yeah, it's the whole thing. I said, but I'm talking, and she goes on and she says, well, it's the wheel cover and the center cap and she said, no, the tire. Oh yeah, it's the whole thing, and then the control arm. And I said, what I wanted her to say was yes, because so finally I'm like, the rubber, not the wheel. She kept calling it a wheel. I know the wheel's being replaced. What about the rubber? So I don't know what I'm going to walk into tomorrow. I would imagine that they're not going to let a car out that's not safe. And if they could have built out something, they would have. So I don't know. So hopefully tomorrow I will have my car back. So we will see. The BMW dealer had your brother's car for 3 months after an accident. So yours is going quickly. Maybe I'll walk out with a new car. No way, man. I mean, I just got a timing belt on it 2 months ago. That was $2,000, you know. Yeah, I mean, my longest was during COVID when my turbo blew, and they had it for 14 weeks. I was without a car for 14 weeks. And eventually, after about, well, the whole thing was like 14 weeks, I think it was. And after about 12, they finally, the one guy finally, he caved. He says, my boss is being an idiot. You can't be without a car for 3 months. Because I was hitching a ride like to and from work with, you know, staff members. Like, hey, you know, like it's not even remotely, it wasn't that far, but it's not along the way. Like for 3 months, I'm doing that. For a while, parts are really hard to come by. Yeah, that was the case. They had to get the turbo, and all the turbo parts had to come from Germany because there were none in the U.S. And the other part is it was like 2.5 hours away from here, or 2 hours away from here. So my car is like in another county, several counties away. And finally, the guy says, this is ridiculous. You got to have a loaner. It was in the middle of winter, and he gave me a VW SUV with like, I think it had 50 miles on it. It was a brand new car off the lot. Here, take this. He said, if my boss hears me giving this to you, start arguing. He didn't want to get in trouble, but he's like, yeah, start yelling at me. Anyway, yeah. So maybe tomorrow we have a car. Maybe. So, let's see. What else is new here? Got a bunch of stuff in today. We got some Twisby Kais in. They went out as fast as they came in, so I got more on order today. So if y'all got the newsletter and you're looking to order a Twisby Kai, sorry. I mean, they literally sold out in 10 minutes. I couldn't believe it. I mean, 10 is like maybe an exaggeration. But I got a bunch of new stuff in, some new Lamy cases, and if you haven't seen them, they're really, really very nice. The red leather is really nice. So that stuff is waiting for me after I do finish these repairs today. And Serenity Blue is back in stock, so that was out of stock for a couple weeks. So if you like that, that's back in stock. All right. So the guy downstairs, shortly after getting his truck, had turbo issues. Got that fixed. A few weeks later, someone hit the driver's side front between insurance going back and forth. Yeah, I'm terribly nervous about driving. So, all right. Let's take a look what's on the bench today. I have no idea. This has been like, and then yesterday, of course, I was off. I had a doctor's appointment, and it went long. So I just decided I was going to get some stuff done here around the shop, and it was a productive day. So I need to have a work day every once in a while, and a doctor's appointment in the middle of the afternoon really facilitates that. Perfect driving solution, let Lisa take the wheel. Yeah, so the deal we have is that if it's in town, I drive. If it's out of town, Lisa drives. And so that's the deal we got. I do feel guilty about plowing into a curb, and it's costing a ridiculous amount of money, but there it is. She assures me it would have been worse if she would have been at the wheel. So I don't know. All right. So we got a Mandarin. We got a gold-filled Snorkel. What do we got? A blue, pastel green, and then a burgundy touchdown. I've got a Filcao over there I really don't want to work on, but we should We should take a look. It was an accident. Yeah, different. Yeah, I know. Even worse if you did it on purpose and didn't video it. Yeah. Well, and of course this stuff goes through your head, and you say to yourself, well, I should have used the emergency brake, but I couldn't slow fast enough, and that was that. So I'll get over it. I wasn't expecting to run out of my insurance company's 30 days of rental car. I thought 30 days, it's not that bad of an accident. It'll be done in 2 weeks. Nope. All right. You popped a tire off the rim of your mom's SUV a few years back due to snow. Wow. That's something. All right, let's get this Mandarin together. I've already had people email me about it. People want the orange. My New Year's resolution is going to be to clean off my bench and make it more repair friendly. I don't know when I'm going to start that resolution, but that is my resolution. You managed to identify the mystery touchdown with the short bulbous sack. Do tell. I didn't get a picture of it, so I don't know what I remember you mentioning he had a weird touchdown. Adrianus Celestis, hello. On the YouTube side. So, in other news, I guess while I'm thinking about it, speaking of vintage pens, I still have, it's still occupying first year Imperial. Okay. Still occupying space or rent in my brain. I found a pen online that I wanted to buy. And I contacted the seller about it, only to find out after about probably 5 days. And this is the quote I got about this. It was an auction lot. Well, not an auction lot, but it's sort of an auction lot. Not really, I guess. Only about 5 days that the lot that I wanted sold recently. But yet he still had the listing up. And it's been haunting me ever since, because I really, really wanted that lot. I mean, it was one of those things that it literally kept me up at night. And I was trying to justify it to myself. Is this what I think it is? Is it worth the price? Yeah, I'm not there. I missed it recently. I don't know what recently means, but it's going to be the one that got away for a while. And I don't really I don't get too excited about, it probably had cracks everywhere, not seen in the photos. Well, and that was the thing, you know, because originally it was listed as no shipping. It was local pickup only. And I'm thinking, well, I can do that, but you know, it's a 5-hour drive. It's an all day thing. The 50-50 chance it was as expected. Yeah, yeah. Um, and I don't know. I sit and I linger on these things far too long sometimes. I'm very conservative because I don't I don't like anybody else. I don't want to make a mistake. Although it would have been really hard to screw this one up. It was a decent deal. They just don't make them anymore. But yeah, I mean, I literally it doesn't happen often, but I want to say I was probably up for 4 or 5 hours. I just could not sleep. Although I will say I'm happy I didn't have to buy it because my 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 bank balance is better without it. There we go. All right, so this one now has okay. So this one needs to go in a certain way, and so this was got the wider side on the one, but the bushing is not that way. The bushing has equal size tabs on it. Yeah, these are nice looking Schaefers. This is a good lot. I must admit, last night I was thinking about this Mandarin, thinking, maybe I should keep that. Except one of my Christmas presents to myself was a gold-filled. A gold-filled snorkel. Everyone needs a few in their collection. What, a few mandarins or a few snorkels? I think I have two. Two? Both. Of course. I tell you, I'm actually tempted to like. This has got the palladium nib. I'm tempted to put the gold nib on it, but I think the mandarin is going to sell regardless of what nib is on it, as long as the nib right's nice. And the other ones will be easier to sell with a 14 karat nib. So. All right. The gold one's looking pretty sweet, and you're not a gold pen person. Yeah, it's nice, isn't it? This one's, it's real nice. It's got a little small ding at the top. And actually, as far as ding placement goes, this one's almost perfectly centered, so it almost looks like it's supposed to be there. Yeah, this collection that I got this in, there were two of them. There were two. And there was this one, and then there was another one that was perfect. So I did take that one. Not a bug, a feature. Yeah, right? Okay. Now this one, yeah, this one we're going to have some issues with. So we'll see what we can do. Who makes pens that are supposed to have dings in them? Every single vintage smooth Waterman overlay ever. And if you know, you know. For a while, a long time ago, I collected smooth 0552 2.5s. Because I like the 0552 2.5, that the 52.5 with an overlay. It's got a real nice girth to it. Yeah, this is the problem here. On what year did Schaefer switch to the blunt tips on Snorkel? I've seen some which have that rather than the pointed variant. Well, the difference is in the type of nibs. So conical nibs should all have angled snorkel tubes, and open nibs, which none of these are. Do I have any near me? No. Open nibs will have a flat-ended snorkel tube. Okay, so this is... So that's how that comes about. I'm going to come back to that one. I may just want to replace this whole piece in here. Late to the show. Love those nibs. Yeah. Me too. I might try heating that up. See if that puts everything back where it needs to be. That might be a good option too. Also note the 14 karat cold snorkel tubes found in early models only available in slanted conical nib snorkels. Yeah. oftentimes referred to as first year, but I don't know that that's help me out here. I don't know that that's actually correct. Did they go longer than first year? I think they did. Would any of these be considered fat nibs? I doubt it. Fines, probably most of these. Fines to medium. Nib's going to need some help. Well, we're jumping ahead of ourselves here. Plus, you have the variants used for flex nibs and the wider diameter slanted tip tubes used on some prototypes just to keep things simple. Now, I've never actually seen any of those, so I'll take your word for it. Because I'm sure it's correct. Not often seen, yeah, I would imagine. There we go. Okay, that is off. So many pens are being ruined by people scrapping the gold. Yeah, it's happening. Feed is off center, so we got to fix that. Actually, give myself a little bit of a handle here. It's against the law to melt down copper. Says who? There we go. Well, copper coins, for sure, but I don't know that it's. I find it hard to believe it's illegal to melt copper tube and copper wire. There we go. Was my biking goal coming along? Well, I hit new year, new new year, new goal, right? I did my 500 kilometers in 5 days, actually, instead of the 8 that was allowed to take. And I hit every single goal that I wanted to hit for 2025. And like three of them on that last day. And then I didn't ride until like, what was it? I didn't ride till like Friday last week. But I was, I forget what the total was. It was over 10,000 kilometers ridden. It was, I'm gonna mix my measurements here because I do some of them in metric and some of them in imperial. 100,000 feet of climbing. I'm sorry, 300,000 feet of climbing. Not quite 100,000 meters, which could be the goal for this year. And I only did one century in 2025, so you're getting close to 20,000 calories. I haven't set any goals up for this year. I think I might try to do 100,000 meters of climbing this year. That would be a significant jump. I mean, from 300,000 feet. I'm going to keep the 10,000 kilometer goal for now. I was going to bump it up to like 100 and another 5 miles a week, but it really doesn't matter because that last week of the year, if I do 500 kilometers, it just blows everything else off. You could do 10,000 kilometers in your car, yeah. But I would like to do two centuries a year. I did 2 in 24, and they were both within within about 3 months of each other, 3 or 4 months. You did 7,000 in 2025. Awesome. So I'm not getting this to, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to heat this up and see if we can get this to close up a little bit, and it doesn't seem to want to give me any satisfaction there. But I'm going to try it a little bit more just in case. I try to think of like one ridiculously crazy cycling thing to do a year, and this year Lisa's going to be taking a trip for a week or 8 or 10 days or something. She's taking a trip with her mom, and I will be home alone, which is a perfect time to do like absurd things like, virtual Everesting or something like that. Bike backwards, yeah. Pikes Peak for cycling goal. Like do Pikes Peak or the height of, I don't know what the height of Pikes Peak is. All right. Well, here's what we're going to do. I've thought about virtual Everesting, but it's like, if you don't know what virtual Everesting is like riding the height of, the actual Pikes Peak. Yeah, no. I gotta do it in my house. Everesting is doing the height of Mount Everest in one particular ride, and there's actually requirements for doing it if you want to be certified. And then there's a 10,000K Everest, and then there's double Everesting and stupid crap like that. But like one is enough. One is like 8.5 times up Alpe d'Huez. Which would take, it would take 11 or 12 hours probably 12 if I could even do it. Rearrange all the furniture and see when Lisa notices when she gets back. Oh, she would know. I mean, yeah, the living room's not that big, so unfortunately. All right, so how am I going to do this? I need this to stay. Shh. So it's just so loose. And I can fix that if I can get it out. In a question regarding Parker vac clips, it is only the first gen that has the weak clips. I tend to clip pens to my collar. It's something I like to be aware of. Weak clips. Well, I mean, I don't know that I would classify any of them as any different than the rest. If I get too bored being home alone, you can visit the South. I don't recommend riding your bike here and back in the summer. Well, that conversation actually came up the other day. It says, why don't you go and visit Hans while I'm gone? I don't know who would be running the business here, but I guess nobody. I've never taken a week off and not have somebody shipping orders. All right, we're gonna let that sit. Well, thank you. We'll talk about it. But I like driving as much as you like driving, so um, and I'm not sure, but your place is probably how far is it? It's a long way, I bet. It's, holy moly! Yeah, yeah, that's a long ass ways. The fastest route apparently is 15 hours. It's it's a that, oh my god. I don't know about that. We gotta figure something else out. I would gladly pay the money to. Yeah, that would fall under long ass distance. That, that that that's sort of like outside that um Midwest range of, hey, we'll take the car. 14 hours by car. Yeah, 15 hours by car. The airport's close. All right. Well, as I recall, the last time I looked, flights were like $300, and as far as I'm concerned, I've always said, and I've said this for 20 years, if you can get a flight for $300, it's worth $300. And I think I can get them from Appleton to your place for around $300. So, you know, that might be the way to go. All right. Okay. So let's put this back together. Yeah. Midwesterners were like, oh, well, if it's 8 hours, 10 hours, we'll just drive. 15's a little bit long for me though. I was a visit with my mom. Yeah, it was nice. Um, it took forever to figure out how to get the rental car to use cruise control because it's about a 2 hour drive, and almost got into an accident trying to figure that out. It shouldn't be that difficult. Like it's not actually even called cruise control on that rental car. But no, it was a nice visit. It wasn't really long, but we all had to go back to work the next day, so we purposely planned it. Um, that way we got up early. We left pretty much on time. We were hoping Lisa's fiance could come, but he had to stay home. Um, at the last minute, so that was okay, fine. I don't get to visit her as much as I should. So that was nice. 8 hours, $300. You bought your car to fly line? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, me too. I mean, even with the little inflation, it's, if it's $400, I'm like, you know, I mean, it was like when we discovered there was when they finally made a bus to train route from Appleton to Chicago. I was like, yeah, I'm not spending. I don't care if it takes, because it takes a little bit longer than, I mean, you can get there quicker by driving, but I can fall asleep. I can do work. I sold pens on the train. Well, not to people on the train, but so we'll see. We'll keep that, Hans. We'll keep that on the back burner for a couple of months anyway. It's too bad that the Raleigh show wasn't the same week that Lisa's going away. Um, yeah. I'll text you dates. I'll talk with Actually, I'll talk with Lisa tonight, and we'll. But if it would have been great if it was during the show. But I think it's 2 weeks earlier. You meant to say Estrobic Slender V clip, but your mind was on Vax for some reason. Okay, all right, now that makes sense. That makes sense. Thank you. Okay. You had visions of me hawking death sets up and down a train. Yeah, no. I did. I'm sure I sold. I'm sure I sold lots of things, but there's one thing I remember was there was a sailor. Oh, what the heck was the name of it? There was a particular green sailor that came out, and I remember selling that on the train. So V clips, essentially 1931 to 33. Don't ever put those. Don't ever use a clip. Never use a clip. I don't. I don't care how thin you're. Never use a clip on anything. Right after that is the dollar pens, the 2-hole clip pens. Looking around, see if I got one on my bench here. You've seen those. Those are much sturdier. The clip is short though; it's a little bit shorter. But those you can put in your pocket. Oh, June 4th through the 7th. Okay, hang on. This might be something here. Is that earlier? June 4th through the 7th. Is that earlier than last year? Let me just check. Oh, okay. Yeah, so okay. Um it's the same week if it's a little. Oh, okay. Um yeah, it's 2 weeks later for me. Perfect. Perfect. Yeah, and I don't think you want me there from like June 4th through June 20th or something like that. Got an Ojiva oversize coming in today. That's cool. Yeah, I may need to run my own business. I had to bring shipping boxes and oh, okay. So this fills, but the we got to fix that. Um, that's crooked. You got plenty of room. I'll remember that. Now the only advantage of me driving is we could secure this deal on the of course by June. Well, I've already seen you in at Chicago, but this lathe that's occupying space here. Unless I'm coming here and selling all of your pens, then it may be worth staying a few. Well, I mean, I mean, if that's what you want me to do, I mean, it's not like I don't already have probably too many consignment lots available. Although I'm almost caught up on that, which is nice. I did get another consignment pen in today. That's pretty special. It's a Leonardo Momento Magico. Artist proof. I'm going to call it an artist proof because um, the consigner called it a prototype, but it's not really a prototype because it's a 00 serial number. Let's chat at some point about it. Timing is good for later in June. Okay. Yeah, I could use some time off. You'll be in Ohio around July 4th. Okay. We could just meet at your mother's house. You got your 52 in the mail yesterday. You're getting started on this evening. Good. Good luck. Was it a regular 52? Just a regular 52? She would not be opposed to more guests for dinner. Only if your dad will make those scones. And your mom would have to show me how to use the that stinking machine that you showed me, the bowl making machine. Did I mention a while ago that Lisa likes the slim shaver Targas? Um, no, I don't know that she necessarily likes slim Targas as much as she prefers a slimmer pen. Um, she doesn't like oversized anything. Regular 52 with the stub, nice. This is not filling. Feet is set way too far in, but that shouldn't be too difficult. No, no, those are real easy. You just knock it off from the back and use heat. They're pretty simple. I much prefer hard rubber sections than I do plastic sections because you just heat the hard rubber and it's gonna. Well, this sucks. This pen sucks. That's good. Now I gotta play that game. I gotta look for cracks. You had a bad touchdown tomb that caused one not to fill last month. Yeah, well, that's what I was thinking here. I was thinking actually, the snorkel tube is not perfectly cylindrical. I don't remember if I ran a wire through it. Well, this goes all the way through, so unless I cleared it out, that's not the issue. But let's try it again. Oh, well, you know what? I know what the issue is. I'm pretty sure I know what the issue is. So while this does give me suction, there was a crack. There was a sealed crack in this um, blind cap. So let me see if I got another blind cap. Try extra silicone grease at the bottom of the touchdown tube and on the threads of the screw. Well, sometimes that will even let a cracked blind cap seal. I mean, I'm getting some kind of seal. I just think if I've got a replacement, I think maybe I'm going to go that route. And it looks like I do here. Hang on. Just drop the whole bag of parts. Boy, do I miss Rob Lott's table at the Chicago show. So usually I know I've got enough silicone in there when it starts coming out right there. I think I got two more, so. There's some resistance on here. It shouldn't make a difference. That looks better. Just a few basic questions. Dr. G's is okay for ebonite. Dr. G's is made for ebonite. Absolutely. Well, it just doesn't feel right. Yeah, Dr. G's removes oxidation. It's an effective ink remover. What is good for restoring celluloid like vacuumatics? Microgloss. Yeah, I mean, microgloss is a polish. It's not gonna remove any discoloration, anything like that, caused by latex outgassing. Nothing will. But it's a real nice. It's effective at getting rid of dirt and grime and polishing up a reasonably clean barrel. You got something that's been, was tied to a string behind the car and you drove around town with it, then you're SOL. Then you want to look at a micro mesh or something like that. But I mean, you're removing material. What do I think of the nib block from England? Which one? Stettler? Get it. If you can find one. It's the most beautiful nib block there is. But honestly, I mean, let's get rid. This is an ugly. I very rarely use a nib block. Aluminum on eBay. I'd have to see it. I mean, what are you going to use it for? You got to ask yourself that question. Trying to get the tools you need as we have no repair in Hawaii. I would say if you're writing your list, there are tools you absolutely have to have. There are tools that are nice to have, and then there's a third list, A, B, and C, if you will. The C list are tools that you have because maybe you might use them someday. And I would say a nib block is in that C list. Don't spend good money on it. I mean, I don't know what they're going for on eBay, but they're probably cheaper than they used to be. Back when I got mine, they were, they're $300 a piece. You get a Modishaw block, you get a Stettler block, and then there was somebody else, and I forget who it was. My apologies. Made a really nice block. And I got one of those, and they were maybe a little less, but yeah, the The Stetler is highly polished. It's beautiful. It's just a piece of work, and I just love it. I don't care if I don't ever use it. But yeah, they were like $300 a piece, and for $300, I can buy all of the, you know, the little pliers and things that I need. You got some things from our old shop before Happy in Business again. Yeah, thank you, thank you. I'm still waiting for that someday for $100 worth of tools. Yeah. Yeah, watch what I use over the course of a week or two. I mean, you know, you like old lever fillers and Parkers? You don't need much for lever fillers. You really don't. As long as you've got some reasonable strength in your hands. I mean, you know, how many times in the last year have I used over the hundreds of pens that we've restored? It's better, but it's not great. How many times have I used a section pliers? And you notice I don't even sell them anymore. I used to sell them. They were quite popular. But it was one of those products where I'm like, well, I mean, you don't really need it. You need it once in a while. I wonder if it's the tube. The tube was kind of, I mean, the tube was not cylindrical. There was a little ding in it, but I got my wire through it. If you're going to do Parkers, you need a vac wrench. Get the Scott Pauley vac extractor. I think that's a good one. I use that mostly. There are hand wrenches. You know, there's vac wrenches like this. I don't like them. I have some. I don't like them. They're not designed, in my opinion. They're not really designed by somebody who does a lot of repairs, because no tool should hurt when you use it. And this is not a vac wrench actually, but they have vac wrenches look exactly like this. But these handles are never long enough. They're never comfortable. I have a design that I like. I don't know that I like that. That if I were to make a hand wrench, I would make it in that design, but I would say it's good to have a couple of different kinds of vac wrenches. I use two primarily, but one you'll never find. You get tempted to use pliers for time saving, but they can do damage. Yeah, you don't need section pliers. In fact, I would, and this is one of those things. You know, it's like when you've been planning to get that vac wrench, the Scott Pauley wrench. I think he's getting pretty close to doing some production, so just keep an ear out. Is Penn's tooling still around? Yeah, he's still around. Dale's still around. In fact, I bought some stuff from him earlier. This is a Penn tooling tool. One of the best units he makes. You have poor hand strength, but Scott's vac extractor is brilliant. Yeah, it is really nice. Chill P. I'll have to look that up. Good luck. You need to get some things done. I'll listen along. Okay. Sounds good. We'll chat later. Yeah, buy some tools from Dale. 90% of his are really excellent. And I say that only because I had kind of a bad, I had two bad tools last year from him, but, oh, Chill P is Pendragons. Okay. Yeah. They've got a good amount of good things. Oh, he did do a run a couple weeks ago. Oh, you got one a couple weeks ago. Great. Yeah, and it's nice is because it clamps, which is why I like. And before I had Scott's, all I had were the hand ones where if you want to put a lot of force down, you have it's on you to put the force, and that's why I have this one, which is a copy of the original vac block, which you can't get, but you can clamp it down as tight as you want. I still have to use this one sometimes for those 1942, 43 black plastic filling units. It's a little bit extra weight, and I can kind of maneuver it. It's not ergonomic at all, for that matter, but it works. I still use it. But yeah, you get the vac extractor and get the whole set. Get both collets. Don't think around and not get one. I mean, the chance of you using the large one is very small unless you're purposely looking for those. But I used one last week on a non-Parker, and well, the repair was not successful, but it would have absolutely not been successful had I not been able to get the stinking thing open. So, oops. So yeah, you want that. Get yourself some. Scott used to sell on eBay too. But just look up the vac extractor. He told me about that inspection tool. I didn't get to see it though, so hopefully I'll see him in Chicago this year. But yeah, I mean, in other words, you need some hemostats. I got a bunch. I only use 2. Get yourself a dedicated scissors. That works. Dedicated scissors for cutting sacks, and that's all you use it for. You only cut sacks with it, and it stays nice and sharp. And the rest of it is all find some dental picks and stuff that work for you. My favorite one, I wrap with a green piece of tape, so I know if it's on my bench with all the rest of my silver colored things, I know which one it is. But the rest of the stuff you can get at, you can go to a Harbor Freight, or you can go. I mean, you need what I use toothpicks a lot. This is my Boy Scout pocket knife from 80. An X-Acto knife. I love these. But then I got a long screwdriver for snorkels. This is the only thing I use this for is snorkels. Hammer. I mean, just little things that you can pick up. You could go to the Home Depot or whatever and get yourself. Now some of the pliers and that I use are jewelry specific. Currently listed on eBay as 2 offering. It was on here this morning when I bought another Vacuumatic. Okay. I don't know who's trying to call me because nobody has my number. I don't even know what the number is, quite frankly. If my life depended on it, I couldn't give you the number to the store, but somebody is trying to call me. Oh well. Which tells me it's AT&T or some spammer. All right, so this one we're going to wait on. We think we got that in the right spot. This guy, I don't know. I might have to swap out the tube. The tube is not great. We already we swapped out the spring, the blind cap. It seals up nice. It creates the vacuum. It's just not pulling it in, and I suspect it's probably the tube because the tube was not perfect. It was someone trying to buy a dozen desk sets calling. Yeah, it could have been. That's entirely possible. I heard rumor there was going to be a concerted effort in 2026 in getting me more desk sets. So Maybe. We'll see. We'll see. Your brother was an Eagle Scout at age 18, served in the Marines for 20 years. Nice. Well, I've had this, like I say, I've had this since, whenever I was in, I was Boy Scouts, so not Cub Scouts. I think it's got a year on it somewhere. Camelus, New York. Yeah, no year. But they're pretty common. You can find them on eBay. I've almost lost it once. All right. And this we're going to seal. So we can seal 2 of these up. 3 of these up. And the other thing you need is not tools. You need sealants and silicone and shellac and do yourself a favor. If you're going to do repairs, get yourself a big bottle. I love this. I could be the U.S. distributor for shellac bottles. In fact, I almost got in trouble with Faber-Castell for using this because it's not one of their intended uses for the bottle. They didn't like me selling the empties, and they told me once that Germany was upset that we were selling the empty bottles, and we were instructed that we were to take them off our website immediately. I very briefly complied. After that, I just said, you know what? You don't run my business. You're not paying my bills. I bought them fair and square. Go bugger off. You got the tasty chemicals from the Anderson days? Yeah. Yeah, but DRZ was right. I mean, I don't do. There's a lot of repairs I don't do. I don't do safeties. I can do more safeties. I just, how many of those do you run across? And I'm not actively collecting them. So, and usually when you find a more safety, or any safety for that matter, the nib is all buggered up because somebody forgot to put the nib down before they put the cap on. And so you have issues with safeties because you've got to fix the nib first and foremost. And if the nib is that bad, then it doesn't, then you got to find a new nib. So it doesn't even pay to even think about doing the filling system. But it's probably been 8, 9, 10 years since I last did a more safety. I don't do pistons. I probably should. I made an attempt last year to figure it out, and then. All right, Juicy. We'll see you next time. And living in Wisconsin, there's a lot of Parkers, and I still get, I'm reasonably close to Fort Madison, so there's a lot of Parkers and Schaefers in this area. And Walls, too. I mean, we're made in Chicago. You're a former Minnesotan, Wisconsinite, Eau Claire and Madison? Yeah. Very cool. But now you're in Hawaii, huh? That's a heck of a move. Should have done this before. Now I got... Yeah, that's not enough. I broke the end off of my toothpick here. Could be nasty tonight through tomorrow. Up to 6 inches of snow they're predicting. Huh? Wow. I tell you, we're on a warming spree here. Got a little extra on here, so I'm just going to do this one right away. I think Thursday is predicted to be a high of 42. I don't know why I'm doing it this way. I normally don't do it this way, but I had extra on the toothpick, and I'm just rolling with it. Back when you were a college student, one would see Vacuumatics and 51s at good costs. That was before eBay and antique malls. I remember a local store that would resec pens. Wish I had money to get more. Yeah. I hear you. I wish the money I spent on Esterbrook's early on in my collecting phase, I would have spent on early Parkers and Schaefer's, although back when I started, there was, the big bubble from the 80s was still kind of around, and people were collecting Waterman overlays and Parker dual folds and things like that. So you never know. I think this is the end of my cloth here. Still morning, going to campus. All right. Send an order to Scott. Tell him I said hi. Tell him I need my commission. Great if you could give titles to the live videos on the type. Yeah, the problem is I don't always know what I'm going to be working on. And after the fact, well, you know, I guess I could do it after the fact, but all right. Well, there's 3 anyway. So this is finally it's about as small as it's going to get, and my toothpick is going to go with it. So into the garbage can for you. Yeah, I guess it did become an Estabrook guru because of that deep dive, but I used to spend a lot of money on Estabrooks. Unfortunately. Ah. One more question. You have a vacuumatic, but the nib lost its tipping. If you make it a stub, does it need the tipping? No, not necessarily. I mean, you know, tipping's preferred, but you should be able to smooth it. I mean, you've basically got a ruined nib anyway. You know, the nib is scrapped. So you've got nothing to lose by trying. I didn't test these, but you got nothing to lose by trying. So go ahead and clip it, but then you have to smooth it. So you got to use some pretty abrasive stuff to really get, depending on how clean you get the cut. You need to smooth that out, and like modern stubs don't have tipping. You know, the Yovo 1.1s and 1.5s aren't tipped. They're just smooth. You know, they're thick enough that you can smooth bottom to top. Need to get a large roll. What the paper mill's called roll ends that garages use for paper towels. They weigh like 25 pounds and larger. Wow. Yeah, that gold one's nice, isn't it? With the gold, the gold nib, so pretty. Well, yeah, the Yovo nibs are steel, but the gold they make 14 karat gold versions of the same thing, and they're not tipped. Yeah, you got micro mesh. Yeah. All right. So this is there. That we're gonna wait on. This is not working for me. All right, since we're replacing everything else, this just to give you an idea of what I'm looking at here. It's not really straight. It's got a ding on that side. It's got a ding on this side down here. I think I'm just going to replace this. It seems like it's creating enough of a vacuum. It's forcing air out, but it's not really sucking it in, so you do not need another gold pen. You do not need another gold pen. Yeah. Well, it blows through just fine, though. All right, so I need, maybe I got one in this pile here. Yeah, well, so retipping is expensive. There's two main problems with retipping. Number one, who's going to do it? Where are the retippers? That's the biggest problem. Actually, I guess there's probably more than two problems, but the biggest problem is Monosshot doesn't do it anymore. There's only one in the U.S. that I'm aware of. Does he still retip? And the other thing is it's probably cheaper. Okay, so this is straight. We're gonna drop that in the ultrasonic. We'll try that. It's probably cheaper to buy a new nib than it is to get one retipped. Yeah, I mean, it's got to be super rare. And candidates have to be like, I mean, there's few things that really meet that criteria. Like, number 8 size Waterman or number 10 size Waterman, maybe. A standard number 2 vacuumatic nib? No. Yeah, you're going to find a vac nib from a donor pen. Yeah, and if you're looking on eBay, just your best bet is to look. Well, number one, you got to try to find. It's got to be the right size. So, if you've got a major, look for another major. That's the easiest way to and hopefully you should be okay. But what you want to look for is a broken pen. Look for a pen with no cap, because a lot of people aren't going to bid on that. They don't need. The only people that are bidding on that are people who need parts, which is a lot less than the people who want a vacuumatic. Black vacs with no caps and cracked barrel or something like that. As long as the nib is good. Yeah, there's a lot of variants of vac nibs. The thing you got to worry about is that those sections are plastic and they shrink. You can get a nib out, but sometimes you can't get it back in, which is why I don't pull them. Yeah, look for the ugly pen. Yeah. Black, your best options. Look for black pens. Look for silver pearl with the silver trim because, they're the two least desirable colors. And the silver pearl has that plated trim that is always worn and ugly. So it doesn't, if it's perfect, then it commands a premium. So then you got to stay away from those. But the brass, do I have one here? I got one somewhere. Actually, I think I have one on my desk. Yeah, I got one here. Well, I don't have the cap, but, this is a pencil, but, your silver pearls, this trim is always heavily brassed. This one's not terrible, but it always looks bad. It doesn't polish up. It's not as nice as the gold filled. So, silver or black, don't go after a red because they're going to be expensive because they're red, And that's what I would do if I was looking for, if I can't get to a show, and there's no shows in Hawaii, unfortunately, that I'm aware of. You need to get to a pen shrink. Yeah. You could just start up a show in Hawaii, and then that'd be a great excuse for me to get out of Wisconsin in the winter. There it is. I can feel it in my ultrasonic, but where'd it go? There we go. But in the meantime, until you find that donor nib, go ahead, cut it off. Who cares? Like I say, it's already a ruined nib anyway. You just caught a bit of that conversation. Did you hear that? Cardinal Penn is sending us all to Hawaii for a pen show. Yeah, you missed some of that, I would say. Is pretty safe. At least it would probably go bonkers if I said, well, hey, there's going to be in June, there's going to be a pen show in Hawaii. And while you're gone, to Europe, I'm going to be going to Hawaii for a week. That conversation might not go over very well. Although I'm pretty sure she's pretty nervous at the prospect of me coming to visit you, Hans, because she knows that we will be up to no good, absolutely no good when I get there. So, at least I'm not. I can't possibly drive to it. I mean, I could drive to LA, I guess, and by raft. Yeah, I could take my desk sets on holiday. All right, we're going to continue George Washington's hammer here. Blind cap, spring, and now snorkel tube. Schaefer made a portable desk set for travel. That sounds like fun. The good news is there are a few places to buy pens there. You know what? I think it would be funny. to see what we could find. And then we'd have to determine, I mean, it's your home ground, so it'd have to go to you. I like going to antique stores just, even for not for pens. There's plenty of other old cool stuff. I don't usually buy other stuff, but I mean, you never know when someone's going to have a nice watch or something. You can see the shirts for our show. A few folks go to DC or LA or San Francisco or Tokyo. Yeah. Earl Shigemoto used to run a shop but passed away over a decade ago. Huh. Melbourne had 3 times as many attend compared to the previous year. Well, that happens, right? I mean, we were looking the other day at we could go on a day trip around that half the state to start your next collection. Yeah. Wouldn't that be fun? We were looking at possibility going to Dallas because I've always liked the Dallas show. Dang it. And I'm doing this bass backwards here. And I looked and it used to be only a 2-day show. It was Friday night, like open till 8. And then, Saturday it was, I forget how long. And we looked and we're like, oh, it's like a 4-day show now. Mahalo. So yeah, it's I just can't justify Dallas. I haven't figured out how to make that work. Even though my airport now has direct flights to Dallas. I really don't know anybody. I got more friends on the East Coast that are going to go to Baltimore than they do in Dallas. So it's like, oh, that was a good sign. 8 direct flights a day from there to Dallas, and you pass. Yeah, I mean, it was always a really good show for us. There was always reasonably good buying, and I know the show has grown a little bit over the years. But it costs me just as much to go to Baltimore as it does to go to Dallas. And if I go to Baltimore, I've got like so many more friends that are going, like an insane number that I can't possibly have dinner with everybody, which to me is a good problem. In Dallas, I'd be like eating by myself, Probably not, but that's looking better. Yeah. All right. Yeah, Tokyo show would be cool, wouldn't it? When I was in Tokyo, they had the oh heck, what was the name of that? It wasn't like a regular. Wasn't like a regular pen show, but it was what the heck's the name of the bookstore? Um, Mario, was it Mario? No, not Mario. The I think it's the same store that had the Athena that made the pens for Athena. What the hell was the name of that store? Mario's in. Yeah. Not Mario's in. Yeah. Yeah. So when I was there, it happened to be the week that the Mario's in Pen Fair was in town. Thank you for that. Um, and that was kind of fun. But it was all modern pens, and I see most of that stuff on a daily basis anyway, so it really wasn't. I thought I did get in trouble. Um, you haven't heard this story, it's pretty funny. I did get in trouble with Pilot at the Marizon Pen Fair. Um, yeah, the Marizon Athena. Yeah. Um, they had, at the time, they had prototypes of new Decimos that they were going to they were going to launch, and there were like maybe like a dozen or 2 dozen, I can't remember, different patterns, and I took pictures, and boy did they not like that. I got the no. Got yelled at. I'm like, oh, sorry. Didn't know I wasn't supposed to take a picture of that. It was kind of funny. I'm going to put a little shellac on this. It does seem to be filling. Hopefully this doesn't slip. Pulling this out. Yeah, Itoya. Yeah, it's a great place to go. Hey, Spicy. Just that crazy and pretend you don't understand English and it'll be good to take photos anywhere in Japan. They weren't happy. And so I messaged my good friend at Pilot USA at the time and said, hey man, what's the deal? Um, and he just laughed. He's like, well, I know those. I got a picture of it somewhere. Was that the 20 colors? Yeah, what was it? Was it 20? Yeah, I think it was 20. Does that sound right? I mean, they were great, but I just thought it was ridiculous that they would come out with 20 colors. I mean, like, I like it's a little bit excessive, I think. From the retailer standpoint, you're going, oh well, crap. Now I got a stock extra fine, medium, broad, stub. I got, but yeah, he passed. He passed on them. I got a stock 20 colors in 5 nibs, so what Lisa and I call a set. is 100 units. 100. 100 units at cost. You're looking at $100 a piece. It's 10 grand for one of each. Like, how many sets do you want? Although I think they were going to launch them quarterly, like 5 a quarter or something. So it wouldn't have been, I mean, as bad, but it's, I just, when companies do that crap, like, are they thinking of, they're not thinking of the retailer. They never think of the retailer. They would have been sold as a set of 20 here in the U.S. Fine. And that's just equally as stupid, right? Uh, Number one, that fine nib on the vanishing point is like, I get people like it, but it's like needle fine. I mean, it's really, I don't know. But at 20, it's like when Sailor launches, uh, when they were doing those cocktail series, like, really, people. I mean, I sold one set of, what were they, 8 pens or something like that, 10 pens. I mean, all right. So these, you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna wait. We're gonna wait to test these until they're all ready to go, and then I don't have to mess with that. So these are probably, we're gonna wait till tomorrow. Those dry. But yeah. A set of 20. Come on. All right, we're gonna try this again. This didn't work out, excuse me, so well the last time. It was fun getting yelled at though. So the question is how could we get this in? All right, Andrew, take care. Like, who wants a set of 20? I mean, if they were $10 a piece, you'd go, yeah, that's cool. Okay. Your brother got yelled at for asking to see an expensive pen at a store in Tokyo. You can imagine how much he. You can imagine how much he. Yeah. Yeah, it happened to be. It was Platinum's 100th anniversary when we went, and then they had um. It was funny because it was also all the Pilot 100th anniversary pens were in stock, and like every um every small Tom, Dick, and Harry stationery shop had had a set of 100th anniversary Emperor sets in stock. Which to me was just amusing to no end. Oh, hey, I think we got something here. Nope, we don't. Son of a. This is in too far. I tell you what, I can't wait to get this thing working and get this out of here. What a pain this is. A little play in that, but let's see what it. This one's got more water. It's just got a little bit of play here before it activates. So what I'm worried about is we cut the bar just a smidge too short. That's what it looks like. It has to see $1,000 pen to buy it, and being told no is an interesting concept. So wow, it's only $1,000, and you got note on that. How are they going to sell that? That's insane. All right. I mean, I could see if it was a $10,000 emperor, but maybe it's a Yukari. Come on. I mean, not to sound like complete first world, but a Yukari. I mean, everybody's got one of those. I mean, that's really pretty common. Oh, I hate this pen. So, did he buy anything at all in Japan, or was after that was just be like, yes, the hell with this? No pens. Our dealers were happy to help them. Yeah. The antique mall of Ginza, I think, was really a great place. I loved going to that. In fact, we liked it so much we went back twice. You bought some things from Eurobox? Yeah, see, when I went to Eurobox, it was the owner's son was there. It wasn't the owner. Um, it was just kind of it was really a funny trip. Um, because we ended up picking out a couple things, and then when I asked him for prices, one of them wasn't marked, and it was really nice. I forget what it was. Um, it was probably a Pilot. Um, with the Arushi lacquer clip, and I mean it was pretty sweet, and it was clear that it was one of those things where um, either he didn't know what the price was because his dad wasn't there, or they weren't going to sell it. But I think it was because he just didn't know what the price was, and oh no, not for sale. Okay, fine. We picked out a couple other things, and actually what I ended up doing was I think we picked out. Lisa got a Sailor pocket pen with tulips on it, and I picked out a Pilot with a number 7 nib, maybe. I can't remember. Hans, you probably even remember better than I do on that one. Um, Unusual clip on it. And then I think I got one more pen. So we bought 3 pens at Eurobox, and I ended up having to go downstairs across the street to the 7-Eleven to use the ATM to get enough money to buy the 3 pens because I didn't have enough money. No, it wasn't the Sailor. It wasn't a Sailor. It was a Pilot. It was definitely a Pilot. Um, yeah, that one with the katakana, that one was a different. I bought that on a Japanese auction. This one had a weird nib that would look like a clip that looked like it had an indentation on it. It looked like a spoon. It was an odd number, 7, 5. I thought it was 7 though. Okay, so that fills. Great. I'm gonna leave it alone. You got 2 Pilot capless from Eurobox that time. Hard to find color capless. Cool. I had to laugh because when we went there, they had, if you go to Eurobox, one of the best parts about going to Eurobox, other than the cool pens, of course, is all the stuff that's on top of the shelves. And so they have a bunch of ephemera and stuff that I'm pretty sure is just not for sale, right? But among them was one of them was a sign, and I don't remember what kind of sign, but it was a sign or something from the Chicago Pen Show, where like a whole bunch of people had signed it. Now that was the year was actually I think a couple years before I had ever been there, or maybe I was there that year, but I didn't sign the sheet. But it was pretty funny to see something from the Chicago Pen Show at Eurobox. The 30 he wanted had a crack in the feed. I asked him to look for one in a likely spot. My brother had to point it out to him. The owner looked at him like he was crazy until he saw the crack himself. Oh, okay. So you weren't there. Did he get you on FaceTime or something? Yeah, they were. He was great. He was really fun. I mean, he spoke no English, no English. I wish I could have got the pen that. There were a couple. There was They had some platinums, and I really wanted one, but there was no room in the budget for that kind of nonsense. That was a bad year, but I'm happy with the pilot that I did get. Lisa hated her sailor. I think she got rid of it. All right, 418. Okay, I got someone coming today. I believe I have a client coming to pick up some repairs between 5 and 6:30. So let's do this. Oh, I got to clean the caps on those. Yeah, those guys aren't done yet. Oh, you used a messaging app or something? Yeah, okay. I bet your brother loved doing that for you, huh? He's a good sport. I like him a lot. I'd be like, Lisa trying to buy a pen for me. Like, yeah, I'm no way. No. If it's not easy, I'm not doing it. Like, I'd be interested if she actually runs into like any vintage. She's going to Denmark next year, so and I said, well, you want a souvenir? I said, yeah, give me a Danish Mont Blanc or a really nice Pinot. You're good at buying for each other, okay. Um, I said, give me a really nice Pinot or a Danish Mont Blanc. Yeah, like that's not going to go over very well. I just know it's not. I'll get a T-shirt. My wife went to Denmark, and all I got was this T-shirt. Yeah, Danish Mont Blanc and red rubber would be nice, wouldn't it? I would take. You know what would be cool? Well, actually, would be really cool. Um, but and they're doing this ladies trip, right? So it's her mom, her her aunt. Yeah, Danish Parker would be perfect. Yeah, I was just getting to that. Um, it's her mom and her aunt and her like niece and and like some sisters and cousin and my daughter's going. So it's all the ladies are going. Um, yeah, so it's they're going to be visiting, and a couple of them have been there before, so they're kind of running the show a little bit more, which is fine. But yeah, I'm sure there's not going to be a hey, I need to go and buy Brian a Danish Parker day. I had one once. I had unfortunately it was black. I had a black uh, Danish duofold. What is this one? This is a Filcao Columbia or Columbus. What is this one called? Columbia. So I just realized I'm not done with this pen yet because I think I might be able to align it up with the imprint. Although this looks nice this way. Okay. You can eat stamp made in Denmark on a Parker for me. Yeah, that's just what I need. Beautiful Junior. Have a great night, Hans. We really got to press down on this hard. I don't like that. But it feels completely full. All right. Well, I don't think I have any say in how this is going to line up. Unless there's a second start that I'm not feeling here somewhere. There is a little bit of a lip here. Let's pull it out a little bit, see if we can get that to line up. Nope. Problem is getting this. I need a threaded something in there. Man, do I hate this pen. I should have just left well enough alone. It actually reminds me a lot of the more safety. With respect to that little disc on the end of the more safety that you've got to. Yeah, that might work. Now, did it fill is the question. Okay. Oh, well, that's always a good option. But that's the bottom. Yeah, it's got to go on that way. Okay, I want to seal this. Although that is really snug. Would make it really hard to get the nib out. So I think we're going to leave it. That's really pretty tight. So as long as it fills. We're done with that. Lines up. It fills. White's decent enough for a Schmidt steel nib. Not crazy about the whole overall design element. I guess you could pull the nib and feed and eyedropper it. You didn't want to mess with it. All right, 430. Yeah, I remember when these came out. Sterling silver cap band on it too. That's what I consider to be ugly patina. It doesn't look good. There's your hallmark. So let's just, if we polish it and make it nice and even, it's probably because it was sitting in a box. But yeah, now it's a little bit of tarnished. Is this a sterling clip too? There's some pitting actually. No, maybe not. Maybe it's not pitting. It actually looks like a little shellac or something. Will this come off? Well, it's just. I don't know what that is on the clip. It doesn't. It feels like it's. It looks like it's. Somebody had shellac on their fingers from putting a new sack on, and then got it on the clip somehow. No, no, it's pitting. I think there. I think there is some shellac on there, but. So, not a perfect pen, but it's really pretty material. I like the idea of a threaded button unit, but that whole threaded section nonsense is That's no good. I mean, it shouldn't take me 2 days to figure out how to. There we go. Yeah, it looks all right. I don't think these were incredibly expensive in their day. I got the original box and original guarantee. There's the how to fill the button filler. And there was the original sleeve too. All right, good. That we can get off my bench. 4:39. You know what? I got about 10 minutes. I'm gonna have to end a little bit early just in case, so I can wash my hands and stuff. Let's pull a couple pens for tomorrow, and then at least we know what we're working on tomorrow. All right. Here's one possibility. I kind of want to. I kind of want to do that one because I love that material. Okay, that's a parts pen. Couple of very differently patterned abalone chip. This one's got a lot of small chips in it. Let's do those two. It's got a severely shrunken, well, not severely, but this is a disaster of a rose glow. It's got a name engraved off of it. Oh, well, that's gonna go right in the bin, as they say. It's kind of ugly. Let's do those three. That's kind of fun. A blue Parker Challenger. Blue marble Parker Challenger. Canadian. I guess I should look and see if there's a nib. Okay, there is a nib. We need one more. It's going to be a hodgepodge. How about this? Have a nice looking oversized balance. So we'll do these. These will be the next candidates for destruction. While I'm here, I've had a pen soaking for like 3 weeks now. I've got this Parker 75 section. That doesn't want to blow through. Nice 18 karat nib, but it just doesn't want to. I can't get any action out of it whatsoever. And I've got a great 75 it goes with. Well, we're going to let this one, we're going to put that there for now. It's been soaking for weeks, so we'll let it dry out, and then at least I can get a better look at what's going on in here. But it's not a rotating .75. Well, there we go. Wow. I really didn't think I was going to get this. Let's just see if you can tell why this pen was clogged up and why it wouldn't write. Yeah. All right, so now that that came loose, I don't know what that is. Calligraphy ink, I don't know. It might be, I don't know, but it's a huge step forward that this thing came. Acrylic paint, yeah, it's like purple. It's nasty. So that's good. We're gonna another example. I mean, I started that soaking that the week of the pop-up before Christmas, a week before Christmas. Here we are, January 6th. So that's going to soak, and then maybe because I haven't even brought it out. I've got a nice box for it. I found a stash of Parker 75 boxes. They're marked 75. And I got a 75, and I thought, well, this is great. I'll put it in one of these boxes. I got a nice little set. And lo and behold, that happened. And so I've been soaking it ever since. I had it in Dr. G's for like a couple of days. I had it in Dr. G's in the ultrasonic for a couple of days. I had it in water for a couple of days. I had it just soak and nib down for a couple of days. So it's been a mess. So, but I think that we're gonna leave it at that for today. Tomorrow we'll see if we can get those other two snorkels back together, and then we can test them all. I did seal the other three, and I did it out of order, but I'm out of practice, I guess, since I haven't been doing anything for a week. And then we'll start on these 4 Schaefers and this Canadian. That's a real pretty pen, Canadian Challenger, in blue marble. Really nice looking thing. And then we'll look at that 75. So that should do it for today. So thanks everybody for tuning in. And that's that. So have a good evening, a good afternoon, a good morning, wherever you are in the world. Be kind, be well, and we will catch you tomorrow. All right. Take care, everyone. Thanks.